The President of the Association of Anglican Church Education Secretaries, Mr. Mafa, to come to the podium and welcome us.
Thank you so much, our Secretary for the Anglican Church Education Secretaries. You've heard that I am the President. I've got so many different titles. Sometimes they refer to me as the Chairperson of the Association of Church Education Secretaries, not just the Anglicans, but all the other churches. But we meet here as Anglicans, as school heads from different parts of the country. For instance, I stand before you. If I were to tell you where I'm coming from, it's exactly the opposite of where we are. My home is in Plumtree, as you get to Botswana. But here I am. There are some of us who may be coming from as far as Bybridge, some coming from as far as Kariba, but we all congregate here. I want to say first to the delegation from the ministry, we warmly welcome you to this August gathering of the Anglican Church. I know from the ministry we've got the city standing in place of the permanent secretary who could not be here with us. I know the city will explain why. But accompanying her, we've got two other officers from the ministry. I'm not introducing everyone as yet, but I just want to finish off my welcome. Then we also have amongst us our partners who may be outside. We want to welcome. Some of them have come from far, very, very far, to come and be with us as Anglicans. Some, of course, are coming from here. We warmly welcome you to this gathering. I also want to say to you, from what you've just heard, that this perhaps is our first conference which takes in heads from all our secondary schools and primary schools as Anglicans. In April, we were in Masvingo, like you heard from the Secretary, General Secretary, where we had school heads, directors and principals, as well as the bursars who were coming from boarding schools, from the 10th to the 12th. It was such a wonderful occasion for us all. Perhaps it was the first time that we had met as the Anglican Church. I want to say the words that you heard from the devotion from the Reverend. If we were to open your programs, you might have thought he was just reading my opening remarks. But indeed, we are brought here for one cause, that's the child. But more than that, we have come here, we've decided to pull ourselves from all the other churches and congregate as Anglicans. Why? One may ask. Because we are Anglicans, there must be something that binds us. I should have come to address you here after the bishop would have spoken to us and welcomed us to Manicaland. But nevertheless, I am saying we are Anglicans. But not all of us seated here are Anglicans. But you are here even though you are not Anglican because you have accepted and elected to work with the church, which is the Anglican Church. When we were in Masvingo, after a number of deliberations, there are certain things that came through. And I want to ask if there's anyone who could cite just one very, very outstanding statement that came from Masvingo. Yes? Say it louder so that people may hear.
The church has spoken.
The church has spoken. Right? You are laughing because when that phrase came, a lot of talk, a lot of deliberations had been addressed and exchanged, and then at the end of it all, the church has spoken. We are still riding on the same notion, and there are certain things that were said in that gathering that I'm sure most of us did receive. But I'm quite certain that since not all of us were in Masvingo, I would love that our secretariat also share some of the deliberations that came through out of that gathering. Because it is on the basis of what we went through that we did say, let's have a conference where we rope in our deputy heads, some of our rectors and principals who were not there, so that at least we all sit together, talk together, and share what it is that brings us together as Anglicans. I want to say to you, when you open your magazines, the welcome remarks that have been referring to, you get them on page 18. That actually sums up what brings us here. Shortly we shall be joined by the chairperson of ASES. Again, you will be talking almost on the same vein about Anglicanism and what brings us here. But I want to stop here and say, ladies and gentlemen, to the delegation from Harare, head office, to the principals here present, the directors here present, the school heads, the deputies, and all other stakeholders who are here with us. And not to forget the General Secretary of the Anglican Council of Zimbabwe, who is here. Please do feel most welcome. We are here to share ideas. We are here to identify with each other. And at the end of the day, I hope and pray whenever we meet, we'll know who we are and what we are there for. Secretary, I don't know whether you want to move on.
Thank you, Mr. President. Shall we give a round of applause for him? The theme for our national conference, so that we move together in the same vein, is innovation and entrepreneurship in education, winning ways for the future. This shall be unfolded as the conference goes on. We have to know who is here. May I ask Masvingo Diocese delegates to stand? Let's give them a round of applause. Mate Belland. Thank you. Sandro Zim. Welcome and thank you. Manigaland. Welcome and thank you. Harare. Welcome and thank you. Let me take this opportunity to introduce the education secretaries from the 5 dioceses. May you please come up front. Education secretaries from the 5 dioceses. You may do self-introductions and tell us the constituencies that you represent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyatsanza. A very good morning to you all. My name is Ven Alex Chikomba. I'm the Archdeacon of Institutions in the Anglican Diocese of Manicaland. And I also act as the Deputy Education Secretary of the Anglican Diocese of Manicaland. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm Tarom Gwajon, the Deputy Education Secretary for the Anglican Diocese of Manicaland.
I'm Reverend Father Keifas Mugweni, the Education Secretary for the Anglican Diocese of Masvingo. Thank you.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Reverend Mawera, Education Secretary, Diocese of Central Zimbabwe, pakati penyika chemosha.
Morning, everyone. Nyatsanza is my name. I'm the Education Secretary for the Anglican Diocese of Harare. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the President of the Association of Anglican Education Secretaries, Mr. L.T. Mafa. He is the Education Secretary for Matebeleland. Let us welcome him. I give this time to the President to carry on with the introductions.
Right, I want to perhaps honor varidzi venzvimbo avanikazi vendau, the owners of this province, the PED from Manicaland. May you please just thank you to the committee.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. My name is Gabaza Richard, the PED for Manicaland Province. Thank you very much.
Then from Manicaland, I come back to the Anglican Church. Secretary, would you want to introduce the secretary? Because they're all secretaries. I want you to introduce him in his rightful office.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce the General Secretary of the Anglican Council of Zimbabwe, Dr. Luke Chigwanda. We also have DSIs amongst ourselves. We have the DSI from Mutasa. Welcome. We have the DSI Nyanga. We want to greet you, very sent.
You see, if you have got a secretary, you always ask him to jump. It's because the issue is how high should I jump? You should be asking why. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to hand over the mic to the Communications Director in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education to introduce the team from Harare.
Thank you, Mr. President, with the small p. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Taonga Nandoro, Director of Communications and Advocacy in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. And we are honored today that as head office, we've come as a very strong team to witness this all-important national conference. And accompanying the Chief Director, we have got Mr. Innocent Chishumba, who is the Director for Secondary Schools. And that lady, Umama, sitting in the middle, is our Chief Director for Primary, Secondary, and Non-Formal Education in the ministry. She is today in the shoes of, ably in the shoes of the Permanent Secretary, who could not make it today, Mr. Moses Mike. Thank you very much.